This is a Glassbox Media podcast.
This episode is brought to you by Twizzlers. Long day, late night, feeling a little bored? Twizzlers is the ultimate sidekick for any moment of the day, no matter what kind of day you're having. The perfect level of sweet and a fun excuse to sit back and relax. Unwind with Twizzlers. To buy now, visit Hersheyland.com/Twizzlers.
Welcome to the I Can't Sleep podcast with Benjamin Boster. If you're tired of sleepless nights, you'll love the I Can't Sleep podcast. I help quiet your mind by reading random articles from across the web to bore you to sleep with my soothing voice. Each episode provides enough interesting content to hold your attention, and then your mind lets you drift off. Find it wherever you get your podcasts. That's I Can't Sleep with Benjamin Boster.
If an animal does something, we call it instinct. If we do the same thing for the same reason, we call it intelligence. That is a quote from author Will Cuppy, and we'll come back to that quote in a second. Hello, you filthy animals. I'm Nick Emel, host of Tennis Podcast. Every week we test your intelligence by having you guess the top 10 of something along with either myself or one of my rotating panel of guest sidekick hosts. And today I'm joined by one of the brightest chimps I know, Stephen Clark. Stephen, how are you?
Great. Doing well. Had dinner. Got home from work. Got ready. Waited on you for 10 minutes.
Okay, now Stephen is gaslighting me tonight, pretending that I'm 10 minutes late, when really I was 5 minutes early, and he was 15 minutes early.
We'll let the Google invitation speak for itself.
Okay, well, the listeners, I'll forward that Google invitation to every listener that asks for it. Stephen, I have a question for you. That quote I read at the beginning, I'm going to read it one more time. If an animal does something, we call it instinct. If we do the same thing for the same reason, we call it intelligence. What do you take away from that quote?
I don't know. When I first heard it, I almost kind of disagreed with it because I feel like most people would think intelligence is you separating yourself from your animalistic instincts. Like if you act like a gorilla, that's not an endearing, thing to say. But the further we try to, obviously we never can, but the more we separate ourselves from the animals, the more sophisticated we think we are. But we're really not. We're just animals too.
Yeah,
but
that's the key there. How sophisticated we think we are. And I've been thinking a lot this week about humans and how smart we think we are compared to how smart animals are. Stephen, I know you're an animal guy. Unfortunately, you like the wrong animals like scorpions and spiders and snakes, but still an animal guy nonetheless. And so am I. Today, you're going to guess the top 10 smartest animals in the world. And speaking of animals, in the background of Stephen's video is Stephen's cat, Gracie. Does she do that often? Chase her tail?
Sometimes. She does it when she's like irritated. Like if I tell her no, like if she's scratching the couch and then I get onto her, her reaction is to chase her tail because she's mad.
That is a very Gracie thing to do. Stephen, you're going to be chasing your tail today. You're going to guess the top 10 smartest animals.
So by what metric? How are we measuring this? How do you scale intelligence in an animal?
It's hard to do, as I learned in researching for this, because I wanted to find a definitive scientific list of the smartest animals. And I found a lot of good lists from a lot of credible sources. However, there are differences among them. What animal is the smartest really comes down to human opinion. What I've done is I went to a number of sources, including National Geographic, ThoughtCo, A to Z Animals.com, and HowStuffWorks.com, and they all had lists on the smartest animals. I aggregated their list and took the animals most commonly appearing on all lists to get this list. So, in other words, this list today is not definitive. People could disagree with it, perhaps. There's other lists out there with different rankings. But from what I saw, these are the animals most commonly included on a top 10 list.
So like an aggregate of memory skills, problem solving.
Let me tell you, I have that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have this little write-up from one of those websites I mentioned. It says, human beings have the tendency to feel overly secure in their position at the top of the food chain. We take for granted the fact that we are the most intelligent animals on the planet without ever actually considering what it is that sets us apart. Is it object permanence, the ability to plan, tool usage, or the fact that we build complex social relationships? Other animal species possess some of those traits and some exhibit all. Animal intelligence is hard to pin down because intelligence takes different forms. This next part gets to your question. While it's hard to make a definitive ranking since measuring animal intelligence can be problematic, brain size, vocabulary, tool use, and social learning are common metrics of animal smarts. It also becomes difficult to compare between species. So, to reiterate, brain size, vocabulary, tool use, and social learning are... It wasn't in that part, but I know self-recognition, comprehension, altruism, problem solving. Those are all kind of the factors that are being evaluated.
Okay.
And if you don't guess all 10 right correctly in a row, then I've hired a hitman to be at your house this evening around 10 o'clock to put you out of your misery.
Okay. Well, we usually start with things that are not on the list, right? So is Nick. Let's go with that. Nick's not on the list, right?
Nick is 1A, B, C, and D.
Oh.
And that's Nick Cage, by the way. Nick Emel is not on the list, you're right.
You don't say. That was Nick's favorite meme for a while. He loves sending it.
For a long time. Do you think the dung beetle is in the top 10 smartest animals?
No. He's probably better at rolling dung than anybody else. You know, everyone's got
He
their...
or she.
Yeah, he
Sir.
or she. Everybody's got their little quirks, their skills.
With you, it's cutting up game discs. With Buster, it's booty clapping. With me, it's having really intelligent top 10 list conversations that nobody else can do. It's a very unique skill.
What about Alex Johns?
Alex Johns is... I don't know. What is Alex Johns? Smooth, sensual, seductive, I'd say. I'd argue.
Okay.
I mean, I could listen to arguments on that, but I'd argue it. And for dung beetle, it's rolling up a giant ball of shit and having sex with another dung beetle inside of it.
Sounds like a great Thursday night.
We all have our things.
We've all done it. Don't act like we haven't.
No, we've all been there, of course, but we don't specialize in it the same way as the dung beetle.
Right.
Stephen, what about the cow? What do you think about a cow?
Cows can be sweet. They can be like...
Oh, sorry. Hang on. You're right. I did misread my list. It's the top 10 sweetest animals we're doing,
hey,
of course.
you could...
Right. Super relevant.
Affection and compassion can kind of be lumped in with communication. Kind of.
Yeah, maybe if you're a lame-o.
It's probably the best way we communicate with our animals is with affection.
I've trained my dog to compete in spelling tests and my cat to compete in mathematic competitions. So, to each their own.
You know, that makes me think of... I watched a video... I think it was Neil deGrasse Tyson who went to this person's house who had apparently the world's smartest dog. And it was a border collie, I think. And it had memorized the names of like 300 of its toys. And you would say, go bring me Brian. And then the dog would like go into another room, sift through all of his toys, and would bring back the right one.
My dog, who I still have, Mr. Muffy, he always has one toy, and it changes because toys don't last forever, so he goes through several. But he has his baby. We call it his baby. That's his toy. That's his favorite toy at any given time. And if we say, go get your baby, he will go get that one toy. It's kind of like if someone says, go get your baby to me, I go to your house.
You'd hop on a plane?
Hop on a plane. Don't say those words, because I'll be over there.
All right, I'll see you in about 8 hours.
Stephen, let's get to it. What do you think is one of the smartest animals in the world based on self-recognition, cooperation, altruism, problem-solving, brain size, vocabulary, tool use, social learning?
Let's throw some softballs here. Are puppy dogs on the list?
No.
Really? No dogs?
I really thought they'd be on the list, but they're not.
I guess they're trainable. I don't know.
They're social, they're trainable, but they're missing a few things that these other animals are, like they won't recognize themselves in a mirror. I could be wrong on this. I'm not an expert, but I think they lack self-awareness. Some lists out there might have dogs on them, and cats. Cats aren't on the list either, but they're not on here.
Cats, I feel like, recognize themselves in a mirror, though.
Do you recognize yourself in the mirror?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
I look in the mirror expecting to see my 18-year-old self, and then I just see an older 18-year-old
You and me both, brother.
version of myself.
An older, worse, achier, grayer version of ourselves, yes.
Yep. Would you say apes, or is it split up like chimpanzees and orangutans? Because that's where I'm going next.
Split up.
It is split up. All right, so how about orangutan?
Orangutan is number 3 on this top 10
I figured
list.
he'd be lower. All right. He or she.
Why? What's your problem with the orangutan?
Nothing, but do you remember when we
I
went
know
to
where
the
you're going.
Kansas City Zoo?
Of course I do.
There was this orangutan that was right on the fence of his enclosure, and somebody was tossing him like it wasn't a ball.
Was it like a little?
It was
yeah,
some,
it was a
or
ball,
was it a
wasn't
bottle? It was a ball or a bottle or something. But he was they were playing catch. He threw it back. The orangutan would throw it back. The guy would catch it, and this went on. Like, I mean, it must have been at least 4 tosses.
And there was a crowd forming
Yeah.
around the exhibit watching.
People were filming with their phones and everything. Everyone was watching. And then he just all of a sudden, the orangutan pissed on himself. And then did he start drinking it? I can't remember.
No, here's what happened. He was hanging on the cage, like he was gripping the cage with his 2 hands and his feet, so he was up on the cage. Out of nowhere, after all these people are cheering and commenting on how smart and intelligent this orangutan is, he pisses on the bars of the cage, drops to the floor, takes his hands and flings the piss into his face and starts drinking it. And everyone around is going like, oh!
Everyone was shocked, yeah. And then Nick said, not so sophisticated, is he? Yeah.
You know what's interesting about that exact moment in time? It was you, me, Dr. Buster, and Alex Johns, the exact 4 that now do Tennis Podcast.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yep. Well, that is the orangutan, and despite that one very specific story, he or she is still very smart and the 3rd smartest on the list. So for each of these animals, I have examples of what makes them so smart. First of all, for the orangutan, I'll tell you that we share 96% of the same DNA. Orangutans can weigh the cost and benefits when exchanging goods, similar to humans. They live in widely scattered communities and form strong social bonds, which may be the key to their advanced cognitive skills. The females remain with their young for many years, teaching them all they need to survive in the forest. And that's actually a common trend, and it's actually mentioned elsewhere here. The smarter the animal, typically they stay with their young, kind of like humans do, which is interesting how that works out.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen, you've abandoned every kid that you've sired, though, so you wouldn't understand.
Hey, it's live or die. Dog eat dog world out there.
No, there's no dogs on the list, Stephen. Don't you pay attention? Orangutan eat orangutan world. I was watching, there's a show on Netflix that just came out called, I think it's Chimp Empire or something similar to that. It's a documentary series, but it's following like the power struggle in this one community of chimps. It's actually really interesting. I recommend it. But in that, they showed that these chimps, we all think of chimps eating, bugs and plants and fruit. These chimps were eating other smaller monkeys.
Yeah.
Like those little monkeys. I forget what they're called, but they're,
or
a
like
different
a howler
species of monkey. Yeah, like a howler monkey. These chimps would go capture them in the trees and then like brutally kill them and just eat them raw right there. And it's just like, wow, you forget they do that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's what chimps do, but we're talking orangutans. What really sets them apart is the cognitive ability to understand the why or the reasoning behind a certain action. And in captivity, an orangutan has learned tool usage in the process of building a simple structure. When researchers released an orangutan into the wild, they observed that the same orangutan improvised tools from what he could find and then constructed a similar structure to obtain shelter from the rain. In other words, he used tools to build a structure in captivity, and when he was released to the wild, he found similar things to build the same structure for shelter.
Pretty interesting.
In one study, adult orangutans perform better than even human children at making and using tools. And last but not least, orangutans are critically endangered, with less than 65,000 left in the wild.
Very sad.
When you were a child, if you were in a competition to build and use tools, sitting next to an adult orangutan, how do you think you'd fare?
Probably get my ass whooped.
You can say that again.
Even if adult me was
am I
against
right?
a baby orangutan, I'd probably still get my ass whooped.
Yeah. Speaking of, do you know any baby orangutans that could maybe replace you on future episodes here?
I don't.
Might improve listenership. But, maybe I can go to the Kansas City Zoo and see if that piss-drinking orangutan is available. See if maybe he can be on time for our recording session next week.
Maybe that's what I'm lacking. Maybe instead of showering in the morning, I should start doing that, because that...
Oh my God.
Monkey see, monkey do.
Uh-huh. Stephen, let me know your thoughts on another guess, and it better be right.
So I said 2, so I'll just go with the other one that I said.
Oh, yeah.
Chimpanzee on there?
You think it's higher or lower than the orangutan?
I think it's lower. I'm going to put it at like number 5.
5?
Yep.
Steven, the chimpanzee is like the closest living relative to the human. And you think it's way down at number 5?
I don't know. I just figured that orangutans are more sophisticated. What is it?
It's number 1.
Well, I was saving number 1. I didn't want to say humans. I didn't know if we were including our own species on the list.
No, we're not.
Oh.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, I did not include humans. Chimpanzee is number 1.
Well, all right then.
So we know you are not as smart as a chimpanzee, which is number 1. They share 98% of our DNA, famously able to learn sign language to communicate with humans, and can remember the name sign for individuals they have not seen in several years. So, Stephen, you tell your name to a chimp in sign language. You don't see that chimp for years. You come back, that chimp is sign languaging the fuck out of you, saying, "Oh, there's Stephen."
Doesn't it seem kind of like confirmation bias? What's the term I'm looking for? Where like we are creating a list of intelligent species, and it just so happens that the number 1 most intelligent species on that list is the one that is most similar to us. Doesn't that seem kind of egotistical, maybe?
There's something there, yeah. Humans are nothing if not full of themselves. I think we can agree. Humans love the smell of their own shit. But I think, like, objectively speaking, chimpanzees for sure belong on a top 10 list. Are they number 1? I don't know. It depends on the list, right? But
yeah.
similar to other animals on this list, chimps can also recognize themselves in a mirror and show signs of caring and mourning. But perhaps the most amazing feature of the chimp is its ability to use symbols for objects and combine the symbols in a sequence to convey a complex idea. So chimps, you can have a conversation with a chimp, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Have you seen Planet of the Apes? Like the newer ones?
Only the first one. Because are there 3, right?
There's 3.
Yeah,
the 1st one is the best
first
of them.
Yeah, I've only seen that
That's
one.
the one with James Franco.
Yeah.
Listener of the show. But in that movie, so what happens, spoiler I guess, there's these chimps and they're mistreated by humans. And this chimp is really smart and there's some sort of experiments that happened to it that maybe made it smarter than an average chimp. Anyway, he starts talking. And I've always been curious to the fact that, like, if chimps had the ability to speak, biologically the ability to speak, like a parrot almost. I mean, how wild would it be if chimps could talk, Stephen?
It would be wild.
That's all.
But it makes me think of Qui-Gon Jinn's quote that he says to Jar Jar Binks when he says, "The ability to speak does not make you intelligent."
Fuck you for that. God damn it.
Qui-Gon Jinn, listener of the show.
Listener of the show, by God. Tennis Pod Plus member. Well, I want to also tell you about the chimp, that they have complex social groups. Researchers from Iowa State University and Cambridge observed chimps in the wild involved in the step-by-step process of making spears to hunt. So these chimps are making spears, Stephen. Should humans be concerned?
Yeah, give them another 2 million years. Well.
So you and I don't have to be concerned, but...
No, now who does need to be concerned is if these chimpanzees are forging these spears, in the background. They're all grouping together at the zoo. It's nighttime. Nobody's there. They're hammering away, making their spears. And then morning, they know sun comes up, zoo's open, hide that shit. Get it out of here. It's not time yet. And then finally, one day, they've all been coordinating. All chimps at all zoos everywhere across the globe launch their assault. And they start throwing spears at everybody who's watching.
How are these chimps communicating across zoos?
It's like when you put two cups on the end of the string and you pull the string really tight, you can hear through that. They're just doing that, but, they get one. The string goes from zoo to zoo to zoo to zoo. It's taking them time, obviously. It's not an overnight thing.
Are you listening to yourself?
Another story. Do you remember when we went to the zoo and I can't even remember what happened, but all the chimps started freaking out at this one chimp and they chased him into the water and they were all splashing him.
Yeah, I do. They picked on the chimp.
Yeah.
They bullied him.
But maybe he was the bully. And they were tired of his shit.
They were standing up for themselves.
Yeah.
Maybe he was trying to tell them, guys, let's start making our spears again. And they're like, fucking Jerry, it's not time yet. Wait till nighttime. And they're splashing them with water saying, they're going to hear you. Is it possible that's what was happening, Stephen?
Very possible. Just as likely as the bullying scenario.
Let me ask you something else. So let's say humans went extinct today. Let's say Dr. Buster Booty clapped a little too hard caused Earth catastrophe that made all humans extinct.
Somehow it was just at the right frequency that only humans could perceive.
Yeah.
Okay.
And see, you understand. How long after humans are extinct would it take for an animal such as the chimp to evolve to human-like intelligence?
Long fucking time.
Come on, you're the expert.
Long fucking
You know.
time.
Are we talking thousands of years, millions?
I don't know if there's ever been a species. I mean, I guess we wouldn't really know, but I don't think even dinosaur, prehistoric, I don't think anything, any creature has ever controlled the globe in the way that humans do.
All these chimps making their spears. It's just a matter of time before we're living in a chimp world.
Just a matter of time.
Mm-hmm. Look at you. You're filthy. I was filthy once too, just like you. But I freshened up, and that's why I want to tell you about our newest sponsor, HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. If you're anything like me, cooking and meal planning is a chore. I hate it. It's so tempting to pick up the phone and just order some delivery. But hold that phone, fam. When life gets busy, don't call for delivery, just get HelloFresh. It's 25% cheaper than takeout and less expensive than grocery shopping too. With HelloFresh, all you need is 15 minutes and you'll be enjoying a tasty, satisfying meal made in your very own kitchen. HelloFresh saves me a ton of money and, more importantly, time. It gives me so much more of the extra time I need to edit out all of Dr. Buster's many mistakes on Tennis Podcast. Well, maybe not all the extra time I need, but pretty close. My favorite thing about HelloFresh is the variety. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner are all covered. They even have snacks and sides too. Now I need you to freshen up just like I did. Go to hellofresh.com/50tennis and use code 50tennis for 50% off plus free shipping. That's hellofresh.com/5010ish and use code 50tennis, or just simply click the link in the show notes and you'll get 50% off, free shipping, and you'll help support Tennis Podcast all at the same time. So what are you waiting for, you filthy animal? Go to hellofresh.com/50tennis and use code 50tennis, and you'll immediately see why HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit.
This episode is brought to you by Twizzlers. Long day, late night, feeling a little bored? Twizzlers is the ultimate sidekick for any moment of the day, no matter what kind of day you're having. The perfect level of sweet and a fun excuse to sit back and relax. Unwind with Twizzlers. To buy now, visit Hersheyland.com/Twizzlers.
The Jedi fell a long time ago.
Perhaps it is time to begin again.
The highly anticipated Star Wars series, Ahsoka, arrives Tuesday on Disney+.
Something dark is coming.
One must destroy in order to create.
The galaxy is not safe.
Don't miss the 2-episode premiere.
We have to prepare for the worst.
Hunt them down.
Let's get going.
Ahsoka, 2-episode premiere, streaming Tuesday, only on Disney+.
Well, Steven, that's it for primates on this list.
Okay. I'm going to guess that all of the entire list are mammals, right?
So there are 3 non-mammals.
Okay. I'm going to go for a swim. I'm going to go to the sea here. I'm going to take a guess at one of the non-mammals, which is the octopus.
The octopus. I'm excited to talk about the octopus. He is
hang on.
Or she.
He or she is number, let's go 6.
You flip that 6 upside down, Steven, and what do you get?
A nice, hot 69.
Hot, nice 69. Nice. The octopus is number 9, sir. Number 6 is probably the animal closest to what you are, but number 9 is the octopus. They are incredible animals, one of my favorites. They are the only invertebrate on this list. Remind the folks at home, what is an invertebrate, Steven?
It means that they don't have a vertebra.
Thanks for that. This animal, the octopus, is still poorly understood, although I guess Stevens are also poorly understood, but scientists are constantly discovering new and impressive abilities. Octopuses...
Octopi,
funny
right?
Word.
Is it
says
octopuses?
octopuses.
Oh, I thought it was
I don't know.
octopi. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's just a funny joke that people say.
Well, now I gotta look it up.
Like when people say meese instead of moose.
Octopi. That's not it. It's octopuses.
Sounds funny.
It does sound funny. That's what led to this side conversation. Octopuses play, solve problems, navigate through mazes, and have respectable short-term memories. Captive octopuses have been observed using high-order planning with several steps to escape from captivity. There was an octopus named Otto who was known to throw rocks and spray water at the bright overhead lights of his aquarium in order to short them out. I don't know if a monkey would do that. It's pretty smart.
Yeah.
You know? An octopus brain is proportionally as large as some mammals' brains, but it displays a high level of organization which helps it catch prey and avoid predators. Although its nervous system includes a central brain, 3/5 of the octopus's nerves are distributed throughout its 8 arms, which serve as 8 mini brains.
Imagine if we had mini brains in our, well, I was going to
Just
say
think of it.
arms, but now just think, what if you had mini brains in all of your fingertips too? All of your fingers and all your toes.
And your winky.
Yeah.
Like any appendage that's hanging off, you got a brain in there. That means you could get a concussion on your pinky finger.
Yeah. If you went to a sporting event, you got a little too excited, started clapping a little too hard, give yourself a concussion.
So you give yourself 10 concussions, 10 fingers. Of course, your toes have concussions.
Yeah.
It would really change a lot of things, Stephen. But we could take this analogy further and say, what if humans had 8 arms? That'd be something else.
Yeah. That makes me think of, there was that Spider-Man cartoon, and he I can't even remember what happened. He was exposed to radiation or something, but he started turning into an actual spider and had multiple arms. I don't have anything else to say other than that.
That's amazing.
When you said that, that's the first thing that came to my mind.
Appreciate that. Was there anything else that's completely irrelevant to the topic and leads nowhere that you want to distract us
I'm
with?
sure it'll pop up. I'm just
Just getting warmed up.
Yep.
A video captured an octopus pulling 2 halves of a coconut shell, which it later uses as shelter. This intelligent animal knows the shells will come in handy at a future date. So they're planners, these octopuses. They plan, they're organized, you know? I think the chimp and the orangutan are smarter, but they're not as organized. They don't have their eye on the future like the octopus. The octopus is like setting up 401k accounts and shit, looking out for the future.
get him to do my taxes.
Now I'm just picturing an octopus wearing glasses and typing on 8 different keyboards at the same time. It's cute. Researchers confirmed that octopuses could recognize individual humans despite wearing identical uniforms. In fact, the animals behave differently around the person who fed them and the person who touched them with a bristly stick. So, this is bullshit. These scientists, they had this octopus in captivity, first of all, so that sucks. And then they're coming in identical uniforms. The octopus knows who's who. That one's Bill, that one's Ted, that one's Mary. And then one of these researchers is feeding the octopus, great. Another one is poking it with a damn bristly stick just to carry out this experiment.
What an asshole.
I don't know. I mean, I know that stuff like that helps us learn more about the octopus, but still seems kind of mean.
Where do you draw the line?
It's true.
I was going to guess Free Willy. A killer whale.
The killer whale. The orca, I think.
the orca.
That's the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
The orca is not on the top 10.
Really? They're so smart, though.
I know to tell you, bub. I don't make the rules.
I don't know. All right. I've seen videos of them
Look, they're smart, but so are dogs and cats. They're not on here. I mean, let's judge the orca's placement or misplacement on this list after you see what the rest of the animals are.
All right. Well, still staying here, although I am running out of guesses for water animals here.
There's only one more.
Well, I was going to do dolphin, so.
Dolphin. Where do you think it ranks?
See, dolphin I thought was going to be 1 or 2. I'm going to put it at 2.
2 still available. You going with 2?
Yep.
You're right. Dolphin is number 2, specifically now I have a typo. I think it's the bottlenose dolphin.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Because I think there's 8 or 10 different kinds of dolphins.
Bottlenose is the only one you ever hear about, I feel like.
Yeah. Their brain is 4 to 5 times larger than expected for their body size. And aside from being easily trainable, dolphins are able to recognize themselves in mirrors, notice unfamiliar marks on their bodies in a reflection, recognize images on television, and they also have a very impressive memory. That's a lot of shit.
That is a lot of shit.
They have sonar built into their DNA. Big whoop, am I right? Like many of the most intelligent animals on Earth, dolphin females remain with their young for several years, teaching them all the tricks of the dolphin trade. And it goes a step further because dolphins can remember mating calls from the same mate after separation of 20 years. Stephen, there's no way I'm remembering the mating call of my first wife 20 years later. Can you imagine these giant fish in the sea remembering a mating call 20 years later? I'm surprised they even lived 20 years.
I'm not going to do it here for the listeners because I don't want them to, I don't want my mating call to, everyone to know it. It's only for you. But if I did it right now, after the call, I opened my, my balcony window, stepped outside and yelled it. Do you think you would hear it? And you would, just like you said, if I told you, baby, come over or whatever, you would immediately, I don't know why, but I got to get on the plane. I got to go.
Can you give us a little taste of the mating call? You don't have to do the whole thing, just like a...
What if
Steven.
I did my mating call into my phone and I did the speech to text and it just converted it to text for you and then it sent it over to you and then you read it? Do you think you would be
that we could do.
Possessed to...
I don't think you should do the mating call, though, despite my urging a second ago, because everyone listening is going to immediately be horny and booking a flight out to Colorado.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't want to do it on I don't want to do it on air. I don't want to inconvenience anybody. People got to work tomorrow,
Some of them don't. But the humans don't do a mating call. Weird, right? Like every other animal in the animal kingdom has some sort of mating call or ritual. For humans, it's just like, hey, want to fuck? I guess that's the mating call, right?
And chill. That's the mating call.
Yeah. Well, dolphins use tools in their natural environment and can learn an impressive array of behavioral commands by human trainers. And in fact, the U.S. Navy trained bottlenose dolphins to find explosive mines underwater. Dolphins are extremely social animals. Schools of dolphins can be observed in the world's oceans, surfing, racing, leaping, spinning, whistling, and otherwise enjoying themselves. They left out fucking, but we can assume they're fucking in there too. They also have a sophisticated language, though humans have only just begun to unravel it. The dolphin.
Yep.
Quick recap so far. We got number 9, the octopuses. And then we're all the way down at 3, 2, 1, which is orangutan, dolphin, and chimpanzee.
I'm so good, I just can't keep myself away from the top.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So, nothing else in the sea. You have 2 other non-mammals.
Okay.
And the rest are mammals.
Well, let's take to the sky, and I'm going to guess a parrot.
A parrot is on my just outside the top 10 list. So
Son
no.
of a bitch. You're saying not there, because you said there's 2 more non-mammals, right?
Yeah, and they are birds.
What the fuck? Well, I guess...
Caw, caw.
Oh, yeah, okay. So we'll go crow. They are very smart.
I'm going to make you eat crow, Stephen, on this list for your shitty guessing. Where do you think the crow is?
I'm going to put it at 4, I think.
Way up there, huh?
Yeah. They're really smart.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, they're at number 5, idiot.
Oh, son of a bitch.
The crow. Honestly, they might have the most interesting notes here today.
Yeah.
One study compared their reasoning power to that of a 7-year-old child. That's incredible. So next time you see a crow eating a fucking dead carcass in the middle of the road, just know that that crow is as smart as your 7-year-old child.
Yeah, but they're problem solvers. They'll find ways to crack shit open and get into shit. And...
Oh, spoiler alert, Stephen. I got all kinds of shit on that. So let's talk about it. Crows have demonstrated abilities to create tools like bending a piece of wire to create a hook to snag meat. They can identify people and animals who might pose a threat and understand analogies, whatever that means. Crows possess the largest brain of any avian species. They can recognize human faces. They also communicate in elaborate population-specific dialects and play games and tricks on one another. They have dialects that are specific to their flock. What is the need? Why did God make these crows so smart and every other bird so dumb, Stephen?
Yeah, it's God's plan. We don't have the answers. We could never understand the complexity.
I know. He works in mysterious ways. But let's take God out of it for a second.
It's impossible.
I know that puts me into hell for eternity.
Yeah, blasphemy.
Why is the crow so much smarter when you look at, I don't know, a robin or a dove, and they're dumb as rocks?
I don't have the answer. I don't know.
Okay, thanks. I'm glad you could be here today. Crows.
Why are any of these creatures on this list?
Crows living in urban areas in Japan have been observed gathering nuts from trees, and they place them in the street for passing cars to crack open the shells. Then, after waiting patiently for the light to change to red, they return to the street to retrieve their nutty snack. That's impressive. So not only are they using cars to crack these nuts open, They wait for the traffic light to change so that it's safe to go get it.
Yep.
I'm blown away by that.
Observation, they remember it, memory, the reasoning, it's predictable.
That's good eyesight too, because that means like they can tell the difference between a red light and a green light.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe they don't. Maybe they just notice the pattern
I mean,
of cars slowing down or something.
That or, the red light's, always on top, and so maybe they just recognize that. I wonder if they are colorblind. Like, I don't know.
Well, I'm not surprised you don't know that. You don't really know anything.
No, I don't. I have to go ask that orangutan that was pissing on himself. He'll know.
And you'll have a drink too to enjoy together when you're done.
Yep.
But I think people have assumed forever that dogs are colorblind. I think I read something recently that that's not true. But so much of the eye, like the eyeball in animals, is a really
It's mind-boggling.
It's mind-boggling, but it's also it's less understood than like other areas of the body, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to know exactly what a crow, for example, is seeing.
Especially because not all animals see the same, we only see the visible spectrum. The other animals may be able to see outside of the visible spectrum, and then who the hell knows what that kind of vision looks like. If you can see a blend of ultraviolet or infrared with the visible spectrum, what would that even look like? I don't know.
It's probably why my cat sees fucking ghosts above my head in my bedroom every night when it's staring into nothing.
Gracie will sometimes climb up on the tallest shelf in the bedroom and will just stretch up on the wall and look up at the ceiling and just start meowing.
It's a poltergeist, Stephen, obviously. There she is. Gracie's asleep right behind Stephen's head on the bed. Ah, she's cute as hell. Crows are less cute, but they're still pretty cute sometimes. They can also learn speech. They have impressive memory, as we've discussed. My last note is that crows have even gotten caught memorizing garbage routes and schedules to more effectively steal a bite from trucks. So these crows are recognizing routes of these garbage trucks so that when the trucks stop, they can park and eat some fucking trash.
Imagine an alliance between the crows that are so observant of our behaviors and our patterns, and then they are relaying that information to the chimps who are building the spears and the devices or whatever, and then they work together to overthrow the human race. Could happen. Very possible.
Could happen, yeah. We'll see what happens first. That or all water is replaced by peanut butter. Well, there's one more bird on here.
Yeah, I was going to guess a kind of a really close relative to the crow, and that is the raven. Is the raven on there?
A lot of lists grouped them together. But
I know they're different, but they're very similar.
Mm-hmm. I actually don't have them. I have a different bird on this top 10.
There wouldn't happen to be penguins on the list, are there?
No, that's a good guess. Didn't think about penguins.
They're very social, but I don't know if they're super intelligent.
I would have thought they're smarter than this bird.
Is it an ostrich?
No, this is a bird you'll see in urban settings a lot.
Is it like a pigeon?
It's a pigeon.
Huh.
Number 8.
I knew it.
Above the octopus. I don't know if I agree, but...
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that either.
Well, let's see. I'll tell you what it says. Pigeons are abundant in most major cities in North America, but most people think of them as mere pests. However, this bird is actually quite smart. Because pigeons have been the subjects of countless scientific experiments, there is a wealth of knowledge about their intellectual abilities. For example, pigeons can recognize hundreds of images even after several years have passed. I can't even do that. I can't remember hundreds of images after several years have passed. So that's something.
How do they test that?
I don't know.
I wonder how you test that.
It's out there somewhere, Stephen. I couldn't research every single thing in the history of the world.
You were supposed to have the peer-reviewed scientific publications, I thought.
Well, I don't have them handy, but they're out there. If anyone wants to see us, they did this. But it says that the pigeon can recognize hundreds of images even after several years have passed. They can also identify themselves in a mirror, which is pretty uncommon for birds. They can be taught to perform a sequence of movements and to discriminate between two paintings, so they can tell the difference between two paintings. There's a reason pigeons were used by governments and militaries around the world. Before technology progressed, these pigeons carried critical messages back and forth behind enemy lines during both world wars. They even attached tiny cameras to them sometimes to observe enemy territories. And of course, they love to send messenger pigeons in Game of Thrones.
I thought those were ravens in Game of Thrones.
I think they
might
have
he
used
called
both.
himself the three-eyed raven, I guess. But that,
yeah.
I'm trying to think of. I thought they were like, send a raven, send a raven. I thought that's what they would
might.
say.
Yeah, they might. I don't know. But that's what the chimps at the zoo should have done, is send pigeons.
Yep.
Instead of doing the cup with string communication system you mentioned, they should have just sent pigeons. But am I right, and maybe you don't know, but am I right that a pigeon carrying a messenger can only go between two places, right?
I've always wondered how that works. Like, why the hell would the pigeon not just fly somewhere else? I don't know. I mean, but birds are fascinating that they understand the weather patterns and they all migrate, and somehow I think they always go back to their home, even though they fly hundreds of, maybe even thousands of miles to another location during the off season. Then when they come back, I'm pretty sure they always go back to the same home.
They always go to the same spot.
They always find their way back, which I think, I can't remember if it was like a magnetism, like they have an innate sense of the Earth's magnetism, kind of like the way a compass works, and so that's how they navigate. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know.
Or maybe they just have a really good GPS on their phones.
Yeah, that could be it too.
I get the returning home thing, but how do you send a pigeon off on demand with a message and that pigeon knows where to go? Right?
I don't know.
Once it's there, I get that it comes back, but how do you get it there? Because I think I've looked this up before, and if memory serves, I think one pigeon goes between only two places. So, like, if I wanted to get a message to your house, Stephen, I could do that, and that same pigeon would come back. But if I wanted to send a different message to Dr. Buster, not that I would ever want to do that, but if I did, I would have a different pigeon that's the Dr. Buster pigeon. That pigeon goes there. And that pigeon would probably stay once it got an eye full of booty. Probably wouldn't want to come back.
But like in Game of Thrones, it seemed like it was free-for-all. You grab what other fucking raven is available, you put a letter on it, and somehow it knows to go to King's Landing, or somehow it knows to go to fucking wherever.
One of many problems I have with Game of Thrones, but let's not get into
we won't
that.
get into it.
You
You ever think, like, we put ourselves above all these other animals, right? Obviously, we're the smartest. These are just, how close can these get to our level? That's how we're kind of ranking this. So, like, if you take the smartest chimpanzee to ever live and the dumbest chimpanzee to ever live, like, to us, the difference is, you can see it, but it's not, like, enormous. You know what I mean? Like, I think to the average person, the difference would be, oh, yeah, I can do sign language or something, but the difference is relatively small. And then, so, like, if you take an alien species that's above us, and then they look at humans and they say, well, let's take the smartest human to ever live and the dumbest human to ever live, to them, the difference would also be minuscule, in the same way that a chimp's difference is minuscule to us. How do you even comprehend a species like that? I don't know.
I don't know either, but we'll find out someday when they fucking harvest our planet.
When they come here, I'm going to make a last-ditch effort. I'm going to go out my balcony and I'm going to do my mating call. And I'm going to say, Nick, this is it. The end of days is here. We have one last chance.
You better send a carrier pigeon to make sure I get the message.
Yep.
What's going to happen is those aliens that are observing Earth right now, they're looking down at Earth, and all of a sudden they see a little Steven one day splashing his own urine into his face and drinking it up, and they say, not so sophisticated now, is he?
I'll be on display in the zoo. They take care of me. Sure. I'll hang out.
Yeah. Even if they poke you with what did they poke the octopus with? A bristly stick?
Yeah, I don't want to be poked with any bristly sticks. Aliens, if you're listening and you will capture me and put me in your zoo, do not poke me with any bristly sticks.
No, they can't do it.
And also subscribe to 10ish Plus.
Oh, God, another advertisement. Dr. Buster here, and ads make me so angry. Well, that's why my therapist suggested that I join 10ish Pod Plus. 10ish Pod Plus helps me with my anger issues because I never, ever have to hear ads on a 10ish podcast episode. And that's true. That is a bona fide claim, folks. I forget that there's even ads on 10ish Podcast because I haven't heard them for so long. Join me on the new and improved 10ish Pod Plus to never hear an ad like this one again. Not only will this help with your well-documented anger issues, but it will also help you with your impatient nature because 10ish Pod Plus members get early access to all new episodes. That episode you're listening to right now, me and other 10ish Pod Plus members already listened days ago. Now, if that's not enough for you, 10ish Pod Plus can also cure your FOMO, fear of missing out. Members get new and exclusive bonus episodes every month. There's already about 60 bonus episodes available now. What are you doing? Why have you delayed? Including the top 10 best-selling liquor brands, the life and times of Donald Trump, Seinfeld character drafts, Dr. Buster taking BuzzFeed quizzes, and more. There are other membership benefits too, like free merch, free swag, and if you sign up for the new Peanut Butter Fiend membership plan, my personal favorite, you'll also get to pick the top 10 list on an upcoming episode. You'll unlock access to a monthly blooper reel, watch uncut video versions of every week's episodes, and more. Signing up is now easier than ever. In just a few taps, in about 10 seconds or less, you too can solve all of your life problems by joining Tinnish Pod Plus. Plans start at just $2.99 and come with a free 7-day trial. Hey, you get to take it for a test drive, baby. Sign up now at tinnishpod.com/plus or in the Apple Podcasts app. Check the show notes for direct links. Now it's time for you to sit through even more ads since you're not a Tinnish Pod Plus member yet.
Let's face it, money is the one subject we all need to deal with, but no one actually wants to talk about. The good news is there's a podcast helping you learn everything about money no one taught you. Meet Everyone's Talkin' Money, hosted by me, Shauna Game. Everyone's Talkin' Money focuses on relevant, inclusive, and forward-thinking conversations around money and just helps you get in a better relationship with your money no matter what your goals are. Do yourself a favor and subscribe to Everyone's Talkin' Money podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Have you ever wondered why we call French fries, or why something is the greatest thing since sliced bread? There are answers to those questions. Everything Everywhere Daily is a podcast for curious people who want to learn more about the world around them. Every day, you'll learn something new about things you never knew you didn't know. Subjects include history, science, geography, mathematics, and culture. If you're a curious person and want to learn more about the world you live in, just subscribe to Everything Everywhere Daily wherever you cast your pod.
Steven, no aliens on the list, but what animals do you think is? It's all mammals now.
Yeah, I guess we have 4 left. My internal list here is getting short. The last one I had on here is elephant.
Where do you think the elephant is?
I'll put it at 4.
You got it. There's good news here because we're going to talk more about urine here in a second.
Oh boy.
The elephant is number 4. Now, the first thing you notice when you see an elephant is
that big old trunk.
The big old trunk and their enormous size. But contrary to popular perception, elephants are more than just lumbering giants with big ears. I don't know why I have to make fun of their ears like that. In fact, elephants are quite elegant, cultured, curious, and have good memories. So much so they can recognize up to 30 relatives from their urine scents, proving useful for elephants to keep track of one another. Steven, how many relatives can you identify based on their urine scent?
It's been a while since I've smelled some of them. They might start running together.
Yeah.
It's not like the people that I'm in contact with every day, that scent's fresh.
Mm-hmm.
What I do is, especially at work, when someone goes into the restroom and I see them, if I have...
Go ahead.
If he's a new hire, I haven't met him yet, instead of walking up and shake his hand and introduce myself, I wait, patiently wait. I kind of like stalk the bathroom. And as soon as I see him go in, I get out of my desk, I run in there, and I go to the urinal right next to him. Pretend like I'm peeing, but really I'm just inhaling that smell. And then, okay, I know all I need to know about that person. It's kind of like when a dog sniffs another dog's ass.
Yeah.
That's kind of...
But at that point, after you have the urine scent for this person, do you introduce yourself or do you just never talk to them again?
That's it. He wants to smell my urine. He can do this. He can do what I just did. Wait till I go to the restroom, then he can smell.
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to bring him a cup.
Now, what do you do for female employees, though? Can't go in their bathroom.
That one's tricky. That's a tricky one.
Maybe we shouldn't get into it. It's going to get weird. We'll trust that you have your ways to get the urine scent. Elephants have also been known to clean their food and use tools in various ways in the wild, and they can also follow human commands in captivity. Elephants are very trainable as well. They do little tricks. Elephants are also extremely caring and empathetic to other members of their group and to other species, which is considered a highly advanced form of intelligence. Now, that's interesting. I didn't know elephants could give a shit about non-elephants, but apparently they can. They can recognize their reflection in a mirror, and they show signs of grief over their dead relatives. I know they have little funeral-esque ceremonies for their dead relatives. Elephants also use tools and medicate themselves. They will eat the leaves of certain plants to cure illness and even induce labor. No other animal's done that yet, Stephen?
Nope. No animal's that smart.
You're not impressed?
I'm impressed.
Okay. You don't seem very impressed, that's all. Still don't. Okay, elephants have the largest brain among land animals, 3 times larger than the human brain, weighing a hefty 10.5 pounds, or just under 5 kilograms, for an adult. Its brain contains 257 billion neurons, which is also 3 times more than the average human brain. Stephen, how come these elephants aren't smarter than us? They got a bigger brain.
Oh, Another question for the orangutans. They'll have to solve that one too.
Now, why is the orangutan doing it and not the chimp? The chimp's number one.
Because I don't know, we were comparing the orangutan to me earlier, so I looked to them for guidance.
Yeah, you're right. My bad. Last thing on elephants is they are one of the few animals to perform altruistic acts. Most animals lack the capacity to process the abstract thinking required of such actions, but elephants will sacrifice themselves if they believe that it will allow the rest of the herd or their children to escape to safety. You wouldn't do that for me.
No, I certainly wouldn't. Not when you don't respond to my mating calls.
Too far away, Stephen. I didn't tell you to move. That's pretty interesting that elephant will can you imagine an animal sacrificing itself? Because usually in animals, survival is like their number one instinct.
Yep.
Anything and everything, 100% of their actions in most animals is built around survival. And this elephant is saying, nah, fuck, I'll take a bullet for this baby elephant, or this elephant in my herd. Pretty cool.
The greater good.
Yeah. Now, Stephen, you just have 3 left.
Yeah, I might start needing hints here. So there's no big cats at all?
No.
Okay.
Think lab experiments, science.
Oh, a mouse? Or a rat?
A rat.
Really? I mean, they're scavengers, but I guess...
I don't know. Why can you be impressed with the crow but not the rat?
I don't think a rat is waiting on traffic to stop after they put a seed or whatever they were putting in the middle of traffic waiting for cars to run over so they could go back out and get it.
Well, sir, you're wrong, because I have a note here that that's exactly what they did. Not really, but the rat is number 10. I'm with you. I don't know if they belong on this list, but they are pretty smart. I'll tell you some. So it's no coincidence that scientists have used rats for years as lab research animals. Despite having small and comparatively undeveloped brains, their minds function in an extremely similar way to humans, and their brain structure is comparable as well. They have the ability to figure out mazes, memorize routes, and perform complex multi-step tasks. In fact, highly trained rats have saved thousands of lives detecting tuberculosis in humans and sniffing out landmines around the world. Now, to that, I say that's good, that's cool, but is that smart? Or is that just a rat using its, sense of smell?
Dogs do things like that. They sniff out...
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you. If that wasn't impressive enough, rats can also learn to play hide and seek, Stephen.
That's cute.
That's cute. Highly intelligent, yet much maligned animals in Western culture, but in Chinese culture, the rat is well regarded for its cunning and resourcefulness.
They are resourceful.
They are resourceful, but here in America, they are living in the sewer and spreading disease. I don't know. It's okay. Rats have successfully colonized every continent on Earth other than Antarctica. And they are very social animals. When left alone, they begin to exhibit signs of depression and loneliness. These psychological and social differences are why rats are one of the most intelligent animals. So, all that to say, rats seem smart. Don't think they're smarter than a dog or a cat, but I'm no expert.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely think it's a scavenger. Very resourceful for sure, but top 10 most intelligent species on the entire planet? I don't know. That's a stretch.
I saw them on multiple lists, Stephen. The rat was consistently ranked.
Give me the name and number people who made this list. I'm going to give them my mating call. They'll come over, and I'm going to talk to them about it.
Just do your mating call now through a PA system loud enough to reach every corner of the earth, and they'll hear it and come.
Yep.
Stephen, let me tell you some other animals that were on some lists, but not all, so they're not in the top 10. People put gorillas in there.
I was thinking about guessing that, but okay.
Raccoon.
Or I would put a raccoon above a rat, but that's just...
I would think so too. I'm with you on rat. I don't think it belongs. One more here that surprised me is bees.
Yeah, they have a social structure. I was thinking of any insects, but I couldn't think of any insects that would make the cut. Bees are somewhat intelligent.
The same way as ants, though. Ants are not smart.
Ants
they
have
just
a hierarchy
act.
too. Yeah.
Imagine the size of an ant brain. So you just need 7 and 6. And number 7, some people equate to rats.
Like a squirrel?
A squirrel is number 7.
I guess. I mean, it's funny because Rita always tells me about these. Her dad has a bird feeder in their backyard, and they almost just give up putting anything in it because
That's
every
same thing
way
here.
they try to keep the squirrels out, they always find a way to get in there.
Yeah. They're cute little fucking things, though.
They are.
If you take the tail away, it really does kind of look like a rat.
Mm-hmm.
But they're
a
just
rodent.
so fucking cute.
They are.
They are so cute. Let me tell you about these cute buggers. They display an impressive array of tricks and strategies that help them survive, which researchers believe shows an advanced level of cunning and intellect. For starters, these clever creatures are essentially woodland animals that have adapted to living alongside humans, eating out of bird feeders, flower gardens, and whatever food may be laying around, so they're kind of scavengers too. Eastern gray squirrels dig holes, pretend to hide their food in them, and run off to other secret places to stash their food. This is known as deceptive caching, and they do this to confuse potential thieves.
It's cute.
Steven, have you ever dug a hole and pretended to hide like a piece of pizza in there, and then you go elsewhere to stash it?
Yep.
Tree squirrels, on the other hand, use a technique called spatial chunking to sort their nut pile by size, type, and perhaps nutritional value and taste. This helps them find what they want when they get hungry.
Organizing their fridge.
Yeah, exactly. They're also able to store and cache food for leaner times and then find their hidden morsels many months later. So they're planners.
Yep.
Well, I think squirrels are cute as hell, and for that reason, I'm glad they're on this list. But number 6 is also cute as hell. One of my favorites on the list.
Give me a hint.
We love to eat them.
I was going to say chicken, but I don't think they're... No. And it's not cow?
No.
No.
What's the other big one?
Oh, I was going to say pig, but then I decided against it. Because pig... Okay, all right.
Why'd you decide against it?
I don't know. They roll around their own shit in the mud and everything. But I know that they are very similar to humans in a lot of ways.
Number 1 on this list, we witnessed bathe and drink its own urine. And... Or wait, it was number 3.
Yeah,
it was
that
the
was
orangutan
number 3 on this list.
So who cares if the pig rolls in his own shit? Some people do that. The pig is number 6. They're very smart. Both domestic and wild species are known for their ability to adapt to a variety of different ecological conditions. Wherever they have been introduced into around the world, pigs tend to outcompete the native species. Though devastating to the native species, this trend is yet another strong indication of pig cleverness. So I think that means like if you were to bring some subspecies of pig into an environment, they kind of become the dominant pig in that environment, I guess. Young piglets can learn to use mirrors to find a path to their hidden food bowl. When researchers placed the food bowl behind a solid barrier, which was only visible in the mirror, 7 out of 8 pigs found their food. Pigs are very trainable, like cats and dogs. You'll like this one, Stephen. Pigs also understand abstract representations and can apply this skill to play video games using a joystick.
Hell yeah. If there are any pigs out there, friend me on... We'll 1v1 on Smash Brothers.
That pig doesn't stand a chance, bro. I'm just telling you. You don't want to play Steven in Smash Brothers. Pigs have also approximately 20 different sounds that they use to communicate, and mother pigs sing to their children while they're feeding.
How cute.
My mom didn't even fucking do that. Pigs respond to emotion and even show empathy when appropriate, which is an extremely rare trait in the animal kingdom. Pigs also taste great, but it's very sad to hear about how they're butchered. So we won't go there.
It's sad to hear how any animal is butchered, honestly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is.
I mean, the butchering is one thing, as long as it's like humanely, I guess, and they don't suffer. But what I think is even more tragic than the butchering is the way that they're raised and confined. And yeah, and the conditions that they live in. And I mean, chickens especially, but all of them, honestly, any animal that's mass produced.
Me and Buster did an episode on the top 10 meats that people like to eat. And on that episode, I remember talking about this. And on chickens, there was some research done that said, I don't have the stat in front of me, but it was something like 90% of any chicken you eat contains fecal matter because the chickens are...
They can't even move.
Right.
Yeah. They inject them with all this bullshit and they get disfigured and large and, you know, and then they can't even fucking move. They just sit there.
And that stat I read about 90% of fecal matter, I meant human fecal matter. So they actually put human fecal matter in with the chickens.
Really?
It's a joke.
Okay.
Bad one. So
the sad thing is that for a second I actually believed it because the conditions are so bad you could probably tell me anything and I would almost believe you.
It's sad to think that there's people that, I mean, I guess people get used to anything. That's why people can go to war and kill other people, I guess. But like, if I had to work at a chicken farm, it would really affect me psychologically to like murder all these chickens. But I guess that's why I don't do it.
Me either. But I guess I buy packaged chicken, so...
Exactly. Like, I eat meat, same as you, and I intentionally avoid documentaries and stuff about the animal meat industry because I know it'll depress the hell out of me and make me not want to eat meat, and I like meat, so what are you going to do? Stephen, with a lot of help A lot of
That
help.
wasn't that much help.
More help than average, I'd say. You managed to get through this top 10.
All right.
I'd put you at like the level of a rat.
Okay.
Which is number 10, by the way. So let's go back through. Rat is 10. 9 is octopus. You son of a bitch. 8 is pigeon. Pigeon and rat are the two that kind of stick out to me as like, I could probably replace those on this list.
Yeah.
7 is squirrel.
I have no idea what kind of noise a squirrel makes.
6 is pig. 5 is crow.
Ah!
By the way, as smart as a 7-year-old. Number 4 is an elephant.
I don't know how to... No, I can't. I don't know how to make an elephant noise.
Go ahead, try again. Steven, you said you weren't going to give away the mating call.
That wasn't the mating call. You know what the mating call is.
It's pretty close. Number 3 is orangutan.
Ooh, ooh, ah, ah.
Number 2 is dolphin.
Don't
they like squeak?
They're like a or something yeah.
Number 1, chimpanzee. You can't do ooh, ooh, ah, ah again.
My name Buddha.
That's a deep cut. We'll leave it in, though. Okay. How do you feel about this list? What animals are missing, you think?
Yeah, I do think orca should be on here. Part of me also kind of thought owl.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if owls are intelligent just so much as like an apex predator kind of thing. I don't know. I mean, I feel like they are
Hawks.
smart, but yeah, hawks.
Hawks and eagles are smart, I think, at least compared to birds. I think dog probably deserves to be on here. Of course, we can't have all these animals on here, so
nope.
I would take off rat and pigeon, and I would replace with dog and, honestly, probably a gorilla, don't you think?
Maybe.
It's a problem for another day, Stephen.
Problem for the orangutans.
That's right.
They'll figure it out.
When they're done building spears. Listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, I pulled a list of other episodes you might enjoy. We've done the smartest dog breeds in the world. That's episode number 47. We've done the deadliest animals, episode 39. The strongest animals, episode 67. The fastest animals, number 90. Apex predators, speaking of the owl, is number 143. Most beloved animals is number 179. And there's others too. We have other animal-themed episodes. You can go to tennispod.com/episode-guide to see all of our episodes categorized by topic.
You can cut this if you don't want it to be a spoiler, but wasn't in your deadliest animals episode, wasn't human number 1?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And mosquito is number 2.
Oh, yeah. It's fucking mosquitoes. I hate mosquitoes.
And the tsetse fly was in there too. And also what's the kissing one? Kissing bug? Is that a bug? It's like a kissing bug or a love bug.
I've heard love bug, but I don't know if that's like just a...
Yeah, kissing bug.
Like a saying. Oh.
They're deadly. They're also known as the vampire bug.
What the fuck does it look like?
They're like kind of tick.
I fucking hate ticks. Oh, I've seen these. These are deadly?
I think.
Article says they're dangerous.
Yeah.
If you're a kissing bug, just unsubscribe from the show.
Just unsubscribe. All right, I think we're done here, Stephen. Pull up the sketch here. Tell the folks at home what's coming up. All right, so this is number 129. Next week, 229. Next week, number 230, we got Brad Choma returning. Yeah, and then we have a bonus episode coming up soon after that. So please stick around. By the way, if you haven't already, please consider rating us 5 stars and writing a quick little review on whatever podcast app you're listening on. It really helps us out. Stephen, anything else you want to say to the fine folks at home?
Shoot me a DM, and I'll send you an audio file of my mating call.
Wow, okay. Now, I'm going to cut that out because I don't want anyone else to know the mating call. Just me.
Earlier, you were trying to get me to give all of the people listening a taste, is what you said.
A taste is not the whole thing.
You would think, and see, that offended me, because you would think you'd want to be selfish. You wouldn't want anybody to hear it except you. It's special. But you, for some reason, want everyone to hear it.
It's like hearing a 5-second clip of a 5-minute song. Like you're just giving them a taste, just enough to kind of want more, but then they don't get the whole thing.
It makes me think of that Office episode when Michael keeps listening to that 5-second song on repeat because he's depressed. I don't even remember the song. Yeah.
I think it's like, everybody hurts.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm Nick. He's Steven. Appreciate everyone listening. I'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody.
This is a Glass Box Media Podcast.